So good morning. So today is the first Sunday in Lent, and our reading is from the Gospel of Mark, where the narrative unfolds of the baptism of Jesus. And after Jesus is baptized, God says, "You are my son, and with you I am well pleased." And there is a part of me that wants the story to end there, at least for a bit. Like, let the world and Jesus just bask in this statement, "This is my son, with whom I am well pleased." But the story doesn't stop there. Instead, immediately following this sacred declaration, we see Jesus embark on a 40-day journey into the wilderness, encountering the trials of temptation. And today, I want to talk about temptation. So, what comes to mind when I ask, what tempts you? Do you start with this long list of things that nag at you? Or maybe there's like something that feels really big that you struggle with that comes to mind? Or is it like a completely foreign concept that makes no sense at all? So I grew up in a church where the word temptation was usually linked with fast living or rude behavior. It was a little like seeing God as Santa, who knows if we had been good or bad, and you better watch out. Yet, what if the profound temptation lies in the illusion that we are the architect of our destinies? What if the temptation is to think that we have control or that we are the product of our own goodness? What do I mean by this? We are tempted to think that we are the masters of our own universe. You study, you make good grades, you marry the right person, you go to church, love God, know yourself, eat your greens, and your life will be good, right? Surely our life will unfold according to our drafted destiny. And sure, there is real assurance in this. We have our checklist, and we know that if we just stick to it, life will go the way we want it to go. And we may even attribute our success to God, expressing gratitude and feeling blessed. Hashtag blessed. But we won't let go of this checklist, because deep down, we believe that it is our meticulous managing of our world around us that is the source of and that which yields our goodness. And this belief system seems like it works until it doesn't. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work when bad things happen, when we get sick or someone close to us gets sick or someone dies, or even more simply, when we lose a friendship or we have broken relationships. It just doesn't work. Our control fails us. And there is a part of us that reacts to tragedy like we're like this super detective, where when we hear a sudden death or about some tragedy, we start to try to figure out all the details so we know exactly what happened. Maybe she was out too late, or he was with the wrong kind of people. Oh no, it was the wrong part of town, or the wrong time. And we instinctively do this because we're trying to make sure that this tragedy couldn't have happened to us. And while we're careful not to victim blame, at least not out loud, we want to make sure that we are immune from this terrible deviation from the plan. Crises challenge our understanding of God, and they can shake the foundations of our perceived formula for a good life. But the truth is, despite our best efforts and our wise decisions, the universe is just not in our control. One of my favorite books, and I talk about it often, is Kate Ballard's Everything Happens for a Reason and Other Lies That I Have Loved. It is the story of how Kate, a Duke theologian, a new mom who had married her high school sweetheart, was suddenly diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Her research was on the prosperity gospel. While she was not an adherent to this theology, her life was still filled with messages that said things like, if you do the right things or follow the right formula, you will be happy, healthy, and wise. And all of a sudden, with a stage 4 diagnosis at a very young age, it was clear that she was not the architect of her life, and she was not in control. This is not what she wanted, and it was not good. Kate's story is a raw and emotional journey that asks questions that we all face when our plans shatter into a million pieces. She emerges with a message of hope. Yes, you are not in control, and yes, bad things may happen, but that's not the point. The point is that during times of unpredictability and hardship, joy, love, and connection can be found. She encourages us to embrace the present moment and foster authentic connections with others and with God. This knowing ourselves and knowing God and allowing others to know us is the fabric of connection to which we are called. This intricate web forms the gravitational pull of our lives, drawing us towards a unity with both God and with those who are around us. Okay, so things might happen in our lives that were not in our plan, and we're supposed to live in the moment. But sometimes, instead of living in that moment, which might be admitting to ourselves and others that we hate this moment, and that we hate whatever has happened, and that it doesn't feel like a blessing, we pretend. And we create this acceptable outward response. During hard times, and sometimes all of the time, we're tempted to play a character or an avatar for the world. We hear people say, "Oh, she's handling it so well," or "He's always so positive, no matter what." Or the one that I've always liked, "Man, she can do it all. Work, motherhood, serve in the community. She must never get tired." These affirmations become our false identity, which, despite its outward allure, inevitably wears us out. But we do not have to pretend, and we do not have to create a mask. Connection, joy, and love do not require that our circumstances be perfect, and they also do not require us to appear as something that we are not. Be real. Be you. It is the only way to authentic connection. And this is how we find true joy, which, if you remember my sermon from Advent, and you do, right? Joy comes from deep connection with others. It's easy to see how tragedy, depression, and exhaustion breaks this illusion that we're in control. But I would argue that thinking that we are the source of our own goodness doesn't work, even when it looks like it does. So perhaps you are someone who went to the right school, married the right person, got the right job, and have the required overachieving kids, and have done the things. The check boxes are ticked, and now you're living the dream. You go to a beautiful church, and life is good. It's the kind of life that on Saturday morning, we hold this cup of coffee in our hands and look into the distance and exhale. We just say, "Ah, I did it." And this is the dream, right? And so maybe this seems like it's the dream just until something goes wrong. But I don't think so. I think that even in that moment, it is still a tragic missing of the reality of our world. The self-assurance and the self-reliance rob us of the lens that brings us to an authentic life in God. When we think that we have it all figured out, or that we are the source of the good things that are happening in our life, we can miss knowing God intimately and recognizing that God is with us, among us, and entangled in our world. Richard Rohr beautifully describes our existence as living in a Christ-soaked world. Therein lies the beautiful freedom, the freedom of relinquishing control and acknowledging God's presence in every facet of our lives. And I love this so much. I think it's a super hard lesson, but it is really worth learning. How do we just be and know that God is? Whether our life is in shambles or a picture of perfection, God still is. And God is still the same in both of these circumstances and in all of the places in between. Our temptation is to miss our true identity in this world and misunderstand who God is and how God has built us to live a life that imitates God. Just as God is entangled in our world, we are made to live an entangled life. Living an entangled life is an intentional journey where the threads of our existence are intricately weaved with the divine and creates a trap. I'm going to say this over. Living an entangled life is an intentional journey where the threads of our existence intricately weave with the divine, creating a tapestry of deep connections. The heightened awareness of God's perpetual presence transcends the boundaries of joy and sorrow, success or struggle, and it becomes this guiding force in all of our interactions. Authentic connections, free from superficial roles and from masks, emerge as the cornerstone of an entangled life, fostering relationships that are built on honesty, vulnerability, and love. And one way to find this heightened awareness is the practice of silence. So I want to invite you to all participate in our Lenten practice of silence. Each day we'll spend 20 minutes in silence alone. On Sunday at 4, we'll come together to talk about our experiences and learn from each other. It begins tonight, and then in a couple of weeks we're going to have a couple of practicums where we spend time with Diana Bender in a day of silence, and we spend some time with silence with some icons. Silence serves as a powerful practice for relinquishing control and immersing ourselves in the interconnectedness of the world. It is the absence of words and the external distractions. Silence provides a space to let go of the need to control every aspect of our lives. Silence is a practical resistance against our grip of control and independence. It can be a remedy to our temptation because it allows us to surrender to the present moment and to attune ourselves to the subtle threads that bind us to the world around us. I hope you will join me on this journey as we seek to find the world as it really is.